What is up, breadheads? It's your boy Mike Holland at MC Holland34 over on Twitter. Here to bring you guys a live before lock show for this 11-game DraftKings slate that we have tipping off at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. So glad you guys are joining me, man. This is gonna be a really fun slate to dive into. We're gonna go through all 11 games. Make sure if you want to ask a question in the chat, you just simply hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, you might as well hit the like button as well. Help us out. I believe we're at 1324 for subs, so we appreciate all the love and support from everyone out there for sure. And if you guys haven't been watching lately, we are partnered up with BracketBids, which is an awesome way to fill out your tournament brackets this March. So we're partnering with them. If you haven't heard of them, they're changing the game when it comes to tourney time. Check out the details. As you can see down at the bottom, www.bracketbids.com. Use the promo code BREAD there for 40% off your activation fees. And check out the description in the YouTube there for BracketBids. We're excited to be partnered up with them as we cruise through the home stretch here of college basketball season. Now there's no NFL in the way. It's really just NBA and college basketball that are taking the spotlight. And we'll dive into this 11 gamer. We'll try to get you guys out of here in about 50 minutes or so. And when you look at the appreciate those dive in the comments. What's up, Jeremy, man? Hadn't seen any comments yet till it popped up here. Thanks for the show. Yeah, appreciate you joining me, Jeremy. Hopefully we can get a little bit of bread. The old pantry for me has been a little light, but we're hoping to turn it around here over the next couple of days. So looking forward to it. Like I said, jump in those comments, hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you have any questions, let me know. And then we'll dive into this overview here. So when you look at this slate, 11 games, I mean, there's a lot of really good totals out here. Only a couple of totals under 140, a couple sitting in the mid 140s. And then you got a bunch of big totals out there that we're going to want to attack, about 5 of them. So when you look at the pricing overall, it is tough. When you look at how expensive like Janai Broom is, Braden Smith, and even the studs on the other teams, it's pretty expensive click. But luckily, there's value. We just had Elijah Martin that was ruled out, so that's definitely going to help out some. And then we got a couple of guys that we're going to be playing that'll save us some salary. So really, it's going to be like, are we playing Janai Broom? Are we playing Braden Smith? Can you play both of them? We'll kind of talk about those as we run down. But it should be an awesome, awesome slate of basketball games. Darren's jumping in saying yes. What's up, Darren? Good luck tonight, man. Hopefully you're able to catch some of those green screens. And if you guys catch any of those, man, toss them over on our Twitter account, One and Done CBB. Post those. We absolutely love it. Follow us over on Blue Sky, Instagram, wherever you can find us on social media. Do it. Just click those subscribe buttons, those like buttons, and follow us all over the globe here. So having said that, let's dive in to this rundown here. So the first game, when you click open your DraftKings app, Purdue +1 here at Michigan, a 151 implied total. Now, the first time these teams played, Purdue won 91-64 at home. Braden Smith went nuclear, 24 points, 7 boards, 10 assists, 4 steals. Expecting a much closer game here in Ann Arbor. Purdue, implied here for 75 points. We're going to want to attack some of this, but we know the deal with Purdue. It's play one of the studs, and then if you want to take a shot on one of these cheap guys, you can. That's not my forte. I typically like to decide between Braden Smith and TKR. When you look at how Michigan profiles, I mean, there's an opportunity for stocks, and that's exactly what Braden Smith did. He had 4 steals. Michigan is one of the worst teams in the country in turning the ball over. So he's 10-8. He's not cheap. I really like him for cash settings, but at 10-8, I mean, he does have some upside to get you into the 50s for tournaments. So absolutely crushed these guys the first time. I mean, he's just a fantastic player. He gives you the crazy assist rate. He can obviously fill it up from 3. And then that stock upside is pretty massive on the steal side for him. So Braden Smith, I mean, I'm going to be taking some shots, probably going to go 50-50 right now between him and Janai Broom on all my tournament builds. So definitely probably going to see him as a core piece a little bit later on when we break it down for our core plays. Trey Kaufman-Renn at 9,400. This is, I mean, wow. I didn't think we'd get to this price tag on this guy, but he's been excellent. More of a contrarian tournament play, right? So if you're If you're not playing Braden Smith, you're probably playing Janai Broom for $200 more. If you don't play either, I don't know. You're probably going to be in trouble, but there's a bunch of guys in like this 8 and 9K range that are somewhat interesting. TKR being 9,400, obviously a huge usage rate, double upside. I'm not in love with it. I probably will not click his name tonight. Just at 9,400, that's just a tough price to pay. So really, it's going to be Braden Smith or bust for me on this Purdue side. Flipping it over to the Michigan side, they're implied for 76 points. Kind of look at the profile of Purdue. I mean, they do give it up a little bit around the rim. So some of these big guys like Wolf and Golden should have a much better time than what they fared in that first matchup here. So Wolf at 9,200, another one of these guys, right? $200 cheaper than TKR, but you're obviously not playing a Braden Smith or a Janai Broom. If you play both of them, you're going to have to play every single value play and hope it hits, which we have a couple of guys we feel pretty good about. So there's a path here to playing one of these 9K guys with a Braden Smith or Janai Broom. But for me, he's kind of contrarian at this price tag. Like, yeah, does he have 50 fantasy point ceiling? Absolutely. But that 9,200 really bakes out most of the upside for me. So I just don't love the ceiling on an 11-game slate here. Golden is much more interesting for me at 7,900. Yeah, he's dealing with the sickness. We haven't seen the 40, 50 fantasy point upside that we saw earlier in the year from Vlad Golden. But you're saving $1,300 off of Wolf. I just think he's an interesting play. Obviously has the double upside, can block shots. And one of those guys that probably not going to be very, very highly owned on this slate. So I think he's kind of interesting for tourneys only. And then we'll have to figure out what's going to happen with their starting lineup. They mixed it up a little bit. Roddy Gale did not start last game. Reuben Jones actually got the start. He's 3,400. He put up 10 fantasy points. So, I mean, it's something that, we're excited to click here, but if he's going to play 25 plus minutes or so, he's definitely interesting here. I like him more for like cash game and double ups though. If he is starting, he does have a little bit of a tourney appeal, but that appeal kind of went away with the Elijah Martin news. And just with some of the way that Miami's kind of trending, who we'll talk about here in just a second. So Reuben Jones, if he's starting, if you want to go full stars and scrubs, I think you can definitely use him in tournaments. You're just really going to have these stars go crazy because I don't know that he has more than 4.5x upside in his current role because everything goes through Donaldson and these two forwards. I just don't have interest in Donaldson at his max price right now. So, all right, Darren's jumping in saying, damn, first has been value. Yeah, I mean, if you want to take a shot at name your Purdue guy that's gonna pay off. You have about 3 guys right now that are clear line of sight for value here. So I mean, Caleb First sitting here at 4,800. You absolutely need him to get 20 plus now. He's no longer in the low 4K range. So yeah, Darren, if you want to take a shot at First and stack him up, play 2-0 on the Purdue side or run it back with one of the bigs and Reuben Jones, you could absolutely do that and just hope this game stays close. I am probably not getting to anybody else outside of Braden Smith from the Purdue side. So, all right, so that'll take care of the first game here. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons. I know you guys are out there in the chat and gals to toss out some questions out there. We'd appreciate it. We always love the comments and everything you guys have to say. We'll know Cam will probably jump in here in a little bit. And we know you're building right now. Got about an hour 15 till lock, so just let me know what's on your mind. Keep me busy here. The next game we'll talk about here, Syracuse at Miami. That's a game right there. And it's a high implied total, almost 160 points. Syracuse favored by 1 over on KenPom, which is where we use all of our metrics that you see down at the bottom here of the screen. Syracuse implied for 80 points, 118th in tempo. Miami, 199th in tempo. So they're going to get up and down a little bit here. Miami's just one of the worst defenses in the country. They're 341st in defensive efficiency. They're giving up 39% from 3 and 56.5% from 2 on the season. So, when Syracuse is implied for 80, you take a look at these guys and then you see that they're at max price, and it's like, well, we'll have to think about it. And that starts with Eddie Lampkin and JJ Starling. But Lampkin, the 44 piece that we got here coming off the absolute nuke here of Boston College. But you know how it goes. That game, obviously, these guys are out here playing almost 50 minutes. So you can't really take that into consideration. The price bump here, $8K for Eddie Lampkin, like that is an absolute tough click, especially, when you kind of see that he's typically in the 20 to 30 fantasy point range, like asking him to go for 40 again in this spot. It's possible. I'm not in love with paying max prices for these Syracuse guys. JJ Starling sitting here at 7,700, coming off a 40 piece as well, but obviously playing massive minutes in that Boston College game. So mind you, if this game finishes in regulation, you're not going to get all those additional minutes and extra shots here. Thing with Starling, you guys know what it is. It's just a massive shot rate. He's got to shoot well from the field to be able to pay off a $7,700 price tag. The good news is he's live to take 20 shots, which is always nice. So for me, I'm probably taking a safer approach to the Syracuse side. I'm probably looking at Jair Davis and maybe a little bit of Lucas Taylor, which sounds disgusting. But Davis is sitting here at 5,400. Now, I know his minutes went way up because of the overtime game. But with Donnie Freeman out, like his role is solidified. Like there's no fear of like Freeman coming back. He's going to play probably 25 to 28 minutes. This is obviously a Miami team that can't guard anybody. He's definitely live, definitely has a little bit of rebounding upside. Can poke out a stock or two. Man, like it's just tough. It's tough because there's really a point here where like when you talking about guys like Lucas Taylor at 4,200 as a punt option, and Cam jumping in here and saying thanks for the show, and also asking about more getting some run here. Whew, man, these guys are really. You're really scraping the barrel here, especially when you have clear line of sight value. One guy we'll talk about over here on Miami, and then obviously the Denzel Aberdeen news. He'll probably start for Florida in a big total. So it's like, do you want to get cute? I don't know. You only have to beat 784 teams, right, to win 2K. So it's not like you're playing 1,500, 3,000 teams. I don't know that we got to get this cute. Lucas Taylor's just kind of interesting because these minutes are starting to tick back up, but the rates aren't great. Every now and then he'll pop off for some 20 plus, as Jeremy says he likes him some Jair Davis tonight. Personally, yeah, there's a lot to like. Obviously, an 80 implied total. Lampkin and Starling are going to get a ton of shots. On this total, is it crazy to fade Corey, the king of the single entry? I don't think it's crazy to fade on the Syracuse side. I'm going to have my shares of Jair Davis. I'm going to take a hard stand and just hope that, even if Starling scores 25 real life, like he doesn't do anything else to get you to that 4.5, 5x type ceiling unless he just goes completely nuclear from the field. And then Lampkin, you just never know what's going to happen with that guy. I mean, he could put up 15 fantasy points in the spot and it wouldn't surprise me. So, yeah, all these Syracuse guys, they come with a risk. I'm much more inclined over here on the Miami side. Syracuse 150th in defensive efficiency. Miami guys are going to steal boost. It's tough because with Lynn Kidd back, it kind of muddies up some things, but I think we have clear line of sight. Like Matthew Cleveland at 8,600, he's just gonna. He's an absolute cash play here. He's gonna get his shots. He's gonna play his minutes. Like that's just how it's been for the last month or so. Probably going to give you 30 to 35 fantasy points at 8,600. Doesn't excite me for tournaments. I'm much more inclined to use like a Lynn Kidd, a Brandon Johnson, or Divine Ugochukwu here. But Lynn Kidd sitting here at 6,500. Now that he's playing a little bit, I was hoping we could get him at a little bit lower of a price tag, but that 6,500 kind of bakes out a lot of the upside that we've seen lately from Lynn Kidd. So it's kind of tough to click Lynn Kidd and Brandon Johnson on the slate, but they both have 30 fantasy point type ceiling in this ugly game environment. We know that obviously Eddie Lampkin is a cone, as a lot of you like to say in our chat here, and so Lynn Kidd's kind of interesting in tournaments. Brandon Johnson, sort of interesting in tournaments. I think the guy that we are really going to be jamming into our lineups is going to be Ugochukwu at 4,500. He's playing solid minutes right now at 4,500. So I definitely am going to be clicking this guy a lot. Took 11 shots last game, has some rebounding upside, has some assist upside. You really like what he's doing on the stock side, especially on the steal department. So if he gives you 20 plus fantasy points in this one, obviously you're still loving that price tag at 4,500, and he'll probably tick back up to 5,200, 5,500 on the next slate. So yeah, I'll be using Ugochukwu a lot in this one at home. Almost an 80 implied total here. He's one of the best. He's one of the best value plays on the board, along with Aberdeen. So definitely going to be using him as we dive back into some of the comments here. Corey's talking about Fletcher Lawyer. You can't play him. Darren Etheridge, Carlos Davis Moore. Yeah, they're all the same. If you want to take a shot and go full stars and scrubs, and you want to play, an Aberdeen with an Gochukwu, and then take a shot on one of these guys, like we've already mentioned first. Talking about Carlos Davis Moore, not Davis necessarily. I mean, Jair Davis got a little bit more of a floor. Obviously, and he's more expensive at 5,400. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take a shot at one of the cheapies in one of this game, so you can go full stars and shrubs and get you a couple of those expensive guys, I don't mind it for sure. I just think I don't know that we absolutely need to do it because there's just so many better spots in this slate here. So, all right, that's 2 games down. We're on a pretty solid pace right now. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. You guys have questions or comments, toss them out there. Tell me what you agree with. Tell me what you disagree with. Tell me who you're playing. Tell me who's going to win the 2K tonight so I can get in on that as well. All right, let's move on over here. This is a ugly game here. Utah +7 at Cincinnati, and more ugly on the Utah side as they're implied for 65 points. This total features 137 over on KenPom. We know that Utah plays fast. They're 94th in tempo. Cincy is 283rd. Utah's 9th in bench minutes used. So it's always like, who's playing for Utah? And for that reason, I'm not taking any shots here. You're playing a Cincinnati defense that's really good. So I'm crossing off this Utah side. Let me know if you guys are willing to take a shot on anybody at the Utah side. I'm flipping it over to the Cincinnati side where there's some good GPP options here. They're implied for 72 points. It's a pace up spot. They're going to get a stock boost. I mean, Utah's so heavy on the turnovers, and they also get their shot blocked at a pretty high clip. So a guy that doesn't block a lot of shots, but can kind of get in on the turnovers and get some steals here and easy baskets would be Day Thomas at 6,700. I just think he's kind of an interesting tournament piece. Obviously, he's a lot more fun. We're paying 4,700, Darren. So yeah, we're starting to get towards more of a max price Day Thomas. That's kind of a theme on the slate. It's like which max price guy is going to give you 4 to 5x. So Day Thomas definitely in the player pool here. Dylan Mitchell at 6,400. I kind of like me some Dylan Mitchell because he's a guy. I mean, obviously being a Texas fan, I had the pleasure of watching him a lot. He's a guy that can get out in transition, get some easy dunks. He's a guy that can block shots and get you steals. I mean, he's live for a double-double here. I think he's pretty interesting for tournaments at 6,400, especially when you consider Bondego here is what? He's $1,700 cheaper. So I have a lot of interest, obviously, in Aziz sitting there at 4,700 in this matchup. But I think that's what makes Dylan Mitchell an interesting tournament play. So, for Aziz here, obviously boom bust tourney, he could give you single digits. He could give you a 30 piece. I'll probably be splitting them on a lot of my tournament lineups, playing some Aziz here. And it's like, why would we play Caleb first if we have Aziz in a 72 total against a team that's heavy on turnovers and gets their shot blocked at an elite clip? So for me, Aziz is definitely in line for tournament plays. Just don't be surprised if he completely wrecks your lineup. But I mean, you're playing for the upside here. And he definitely has 25 to 30 plus fantasy point upside in this spot here. Dan Skillings, I don't know what's happened here. Yeah, he had 20 fantasy points in the last spot. He's super cheap at 4,600. Cam's sitting here talking about a return party. Yeah, he's another one of those guys where he fits the category, right? Like he's in line for that third value piece to get you 3 studs. So I don't mind Skillings. You play a Skillings and Bondego, and I mean, yeah, you get the other 2 value guys, Aberdeen, Gochukwu in there, and you got a lot of cash to spend. So I think he's live, right? I think Cincinnati could absolutely blow out Utah, the pace-up spot. He's only playing 20 minutes or so a game, so he's got to be efficient from the floor. But we know he has some rebounding upside. We know he was what, 7, 8K at one point. So yeah, be playing a little bit of Skillings for sure. So definitely an interesting spot for the Cincinnati side as far as tournaments go here. And we see you guys out there. Hey, remember, if you have a question or really a comment, right, you want to plant your flag on a play like Cam just did right now, talking about the the return party for Dan Skillings. Just hit the like and hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button while you're doing that, and that'll automatically unlock the chat there. So we'd love to get you guys support and bring you this content here. All right, so we'll slide on over to the next game here. BYU +3 at West Virginia, 137 implied total. Two teams kind of tough to roster anybody in this one. BYU implied for 67 points. The tempo's not great. We know that BYU is going to be pretty tough on the glass here. West Virginia is just so bad on the glass, but it's tough to play anybody from the BYU front court. I think Yegor Demon at 6,600 is always an interesting tournament play, although he seems to have kind of faded as we've entered February. We're not seeing like the big time upside that we've seen from him, but we haven't really seen the price fall. So he's just been pretty good. I think he's just kind of interesting in this spot here because he's going to go completely overlooked, and he is a guy who has 30 plus fantasy point upside. I don't know that I'll be clicking him tonight. Probably going to pass on this BYU side. There's just much better spots here with clear paths to playing time and and to fantasy points. This West Virginia side, it's paced down for them. Javon Small at 9,800. He's been so good for them this year, especially with DeVries going out. Another guy that kind of falls in line with like if you're wanting to pay for a second or third stud, is he interesting a little bit? But he's been more of kind of like a cash guy recently. So in this spot here with a lower total, I just don't know that I love him for tournaments. You can kind of say the same thing for Amani Hansberry down here at 6K. This is starting to get towards his max price, and you're only going to get 25 minutes out of Hansberry. They're gonna want to play Andre, some minutes there. So yeah, I know he's coming off 33, right? But I don't know, that 6K, I just have a hard time clicking that. I'm looking at full stars and scrubs just the way that this thing is shaking out. Jonathan Powell, slide him into the mix of all these guys that are in that like high 4K range that could absolutely do something on this slate. He's starting. He's playing big minutes. Now he has to hit his shots, right? The rebounding upside has definitely been interesting for sure. I don't know that we're going to get 6 or 7 rebounds out of him because he doesn't do much else. That's kind of what we need. We need him to hit his threes. We need him to grab 4 or 5 rebounds to really pay off 4,800. Because I definitely think he's interesting. Obviously, we saw that against Utah, 36 minutes in a pace-up spot. Well, this pace isn't as good. So I don't know. Jonathan Powell seems like more of a secondary option for sure here. We got checking in on the chat. It's pretty much going to do it on the West Virginia side. Steve diving in. Oh, what's up, Steve? Yeah, we were trying to get together. Hopefully, either one night next week or maybe a lock show. We'll get it together. He was gracious enough to have me on his Run for Your Sports channel over on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. If you know anything about Steve, go follow him, man. He's a awesome DFS player, especially in the college basketball realm. So yeah, Jay jumping in saying, yeah, man, trying to get this collab on the channel for sure. Just loving to grow the game. They're helping to do that for sure. Jason B, DePaul value may be chalk, but is it good chalk? So I don't know that DePaul value is going to be as good of chalk, and we'll kind of get to that in a little bit because the way I'm looking at it right now with the Aberdeen, with Aberdeen coming into play now in a big total, with the Gochukwu and his minutes in a big total, like that's already kind of 2 guys right there. Yeah, they're obviously going to be a play. You get to full stars and scrubs. You get 3 of those guys. As Jay Morris jumps in saying, took down the Saturday 2K contest, hoping to repeat here. Sad it was only 1K this time. Nice, man. Congrats, Jay Morris. I don't think we've seen you in the chat, man. Appreciate you joining us. Love to see those. If you guys can obviously let us know when y'all take them down. We absolutely love to see it as we just hit 1325 on the sub count. So we appreciate whoever hit that subscribe button. All right. So got about try to get this done here in about 30 minutes or so. Iowa State -8 at UCF, 158 implied total. The first matchup went bonkers. Iowa State won at home. They scored 108 points. UCF got up there too, 83 points. Jefferson for Iowa State, 30 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. Of course, I never play him. Gilbert, 21, 6 and 8. Jones had 19, 8 and 2. Didn't shoot well from the field. Over on the UCF side, you had JIC go for 24, 2 and 3. So gonna be a lot of points on this side. A lot of fantasy points being scored too. It is on the road for Iowa State, so I temper slightly my expectation for Iowa State, although I do think they're gonna be able to get whatever they want done. They're 98th in tempo. UCF is 18th in tempo, so there's gonna be a ton of possessions in this one. UCF last in Big 12 play in defensive efficiency, giving up 36% from 3, 55% from 2. Yeah, we'll talk about Jefferson here. I mean, destroyed these guys. And man, I haven't used him, man. I've been trying to jam in these guards, and Jefferson, of course, outside of the bounce back game against TCU here. But you look at it before that, right? Kind of had a little bit of a skid where we were talking about don't play this guy. 10K is tough for him. Now he's back down to 9K and a really good spot where he just absolutely obliterated these guys. So yeah, I would put him in that that core type play as far as like spend ups for tournaments at 9K. And I also love Curtis Jones. I think everybody's going to fall back off of him. Obviously, Momcilovic returning has kind of put him back on the bench, right? But he's still alive to get back into the 30-minute type role. I mean, he's absolutely crushed my bankroll. So maybe I'm just talking about a pot commitment perspective because I was trying to jam him in like the last 4 or 5 games. And of course, I got the 50, and then I was repaid with a bunch of 2 and 3 X's. So that wasn't great. Yeah, Momcilovic full-time jumping in. He played last game, and we talked about that on our recap show last night. And they had lost. I think Jay had the stat. They had lost three of the last 4 or whatever. And so, or they were 3 and 4 with Momcilovic out. He's just a versatile piece and really helps as a front court player, he helps their backcourt be able to do more things. So, Keyshawn Gilbert, man, 7,600. I'm not in it right now. Jefferson and Jones, just kind of the big dogs right now on this team. I do have a little bit of interest in Momcilovic though at 4,600. He's another guy at that that high 4K range that is definitely interesting for stars and stubs type builds, as well as a guy that you can stack with someone else on this team for very cheap. So he played 22 minutes against TCU, obviously a 30-point blowout, but he hit 4 threes. He's got a little more rebounding upside than obviously the 30-point blowout. I don't think we're going to see like 30 minutes or anything out of him, but 25 minutes in this type of game environment, I could see him doing some damage at 4,700. Absolutely. So, I think obviously this Iowa State side is going to feast. So grabbing a couple of these pieces is not a bad idea. Run back for the UCF side gets a little tricky just because Iowa State's 7th in defensive efficiency, but we obviously saw them score 83 real life points against them in the first matchup. Keyshawn Hall sitting there at 9,300. He's kind of like Justin Jefferson. I'm thinking NFL right now. He's kind of like Josh Jefferson, where it's like he plays a pile of minutes. The rates are great. It's a high team total. I haven't been in love with him this year. You love the dual eligibility, right? But he's definitely live to go for 40, a 40 spot here. So gonna play some Keyshawn Hall as a run back. I think I like Darius Johnson in that price savings, the $1,400 cheaper there. A little bit more than that. So I just don't know. Can we trust these guys? They're at home, but they're playing Iowa State. I tend to get a little bit nervous when you're just shoving guys against Iowa State, although you love the Iowa State pace this year. It's not like they're dragging their feet this year like they usually are. So Darius Thompson, Keyshawn Hall, Mustafa Chim, like all these guys are really interesting run back tournament plays. Jordan Ivy Curry, if you think he can hit some shots again, like he did in this first matchup where he scored 24 points. I don't know. I think I'm a little more comfortable either playing, a Darius Johnson on a run back or just really playing 2 guys from the Iowa State side here. So looks like we got this chat's blowing up. Appreciate you guys here. Let's see. Lonnie's jumping in there, man. March Madness is UConn time. We'll see about that. Darren's asking who does it for this. Yeah, who does? I mean, yeah, I think I'm gonna in a few tournaments pair Momcilovic with one of the studs at the top. Jay Moore's talking about who he had. He had Demary at 2%. That's awesome. And then let's see, Chris diving in with the old fire emojis. Absolutely 100% here. Cool. Man, we jumped up to 1327 in subs, man. So hop on in there. Yeah, if you guys are out there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. There's no NFL, right? We've been covering the sport 365 days a year. We're interviewing coaches. Check out our playlist. We talked to like 12, 13 coaches this offseason. We covered the transfer portal, which is even busier than than the tournament is for us. So yeah, just join the party. We'd appreciate that, guys. So Ashworth and Trey Johnson or Grant Nelson and a Visage. I don't think that's on the old main slate right now. So Joe Whelan jumping in. I never get to watch live. We'll still canceled work in Virginia. This is great. I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for this love and support, guys. Appreciate everybody out there, man. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. One and done CBB on all the socials out there. All right, let's slide over. We got some more games to cover here. Appreciate the love. Tennessee -2 at Kentucky, 146 implied total. First matchup, Kentucky won this on the road, 78-73. Mari Williams had 10 points, 15 boards, 4 assists. I think I rostered him that day. Didn't quite get there. Milicic had 19, 9, and 4. Tennessee implied for 74 points. They're 336 in tempo, but we know they're getting the pace-up spot on the road here with Kentucky at 32nd in tempo. We know Kentucky's defense has been poor. We've been talking about that ad nauseum in DFS and just kind of talking college basketball in general. They're giving up 116 points per 100 possessions in SEC play. They're giving up 56.5% from 2. Wish I could like a little bit more on this Tennessee side. I was talking to Cam over on Twitter, trying to figure out what to do in this game. And this game's kind of weird, right? It's 146 implied total. There's plenty of better spots, it feels like, to really attack. Ziegler more of a cash only play. I think I'm more in line with someone like Milicic at 7,400. Ziegler is, he's going to give you 30 fantasy points, right? If he gives you 40 at 9K, there's a bunch of guys that are going to be able to hit 40 on this slate. So I don't necessarily feel great about it. I think I like Milicic more, especially since it seems like Kentucky just does not want to stop anybody inside that has talent. So this is another great spot for him. He damn near went 20-10 against them the first time. I know it is on the road this time, but Kentucky does give it up for bigs pretty much on a nightly basis here. So if you want to play some Chaz Lanier and you think he's going to hit, 8 to 10 field goals, I'm with you on it. That's the problem, though, is he has to get hot from the field. So super shot dependent here. I don't think I'm going to click his name. Okay for tournaments, like if you want to stack a Milicic and Lanier, I just don't know why we go crazy in this game. His floor, it's okay. Milicic for me on this side. I don't even know that I love anything on the Kentucky side, honestly. Like Tennessee's number 1 in defensive efficiency. Amari Williams, yeah, he's 8,100, and we told you guys, when he starts getting into 9K, he's got to have all 26 minutes. He's got to be super efficient from the floor. Obviously, he's a fantasy point per minute producer, one of the best in the country. But 8,100 in this spot. Yeah, he had a double-double, 10 points, 15 boards, 4 assists at 8,100. I don't know that that's going to do it for us in a tournament. So if he repeats something similar, but he has stock upside, then you love it. I just don't know that we want to be attacking this Tennessee defense here. So Atega Owe, I find kind of interesting for tournaments just because he's so involved offensively. And you also have Jackson Robinson set to miss this game. Him and Lamont Butler at 7,100. I don't think I can get here. I really don't. A lot of mouths to feed in this front court, too, at that 4 spot. So, yeah, really, it's Milicic and kind of what I told Cam on Twitter, an hour ago. It's probably Milicic and that's it. Let me know in the chat if you guys are feeling this game. Especially when you look at the game before and the game after this one that we're going to talk about, it's kind of hard to click these guys' names. So they're interesting tournament plays, but I don't think we need to go anything crazy here. As the chat is fired up in here, Darren saying he likes Milicic. Let's see here. What else we got? Steve talking about Iowa State, kind of stuff UCF. I can lay the points. What I think it's. I didn't catch the money line on it or the points on it. I think it's 3 or something. Butler might be nice with that Q tag. Yeah, I always like playing guys with Q tags if they're in because it's everybody fears that Q tag for sure. Jay, you jumping in? Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. Momcilovic being a difference maker for the Cyclones. So cool. Let's dive in here to Florida at Mississippi State. 153 implied total. Florida 79 implied total. 91st in tempo. Mississippi State 200th in tempo, but they like to give it up from 3, giving up 36% from 3, so 3-ball boost. The biggest news here, obviously, just got word that Elisha Martin's not going to play, which makes it a lot easier on this Florida side. We'll start at the very top. We know I've already mentioned Denzel Aberdeen. We'll start at the very top. You got Alex Condon. It was good when it was in the 7K range. great game against Auburn. I just did not see that game playing out the way it did. Him and Walter Clayton were great. I don't like paying 8,400 for Alex Condon. I know it's a good spot, but this is a tough front line for Mississippi State. I mean, you have Cam Matthews in there banging around. You got Keyshawn Murphy that bangs around. So I don't know, not a Condon guy tonight. I think Walter Clayton's always interesting for tournaments. He's going to take a ton of shots. I mean, dropped 44 fantasy points on Auburn. I think he can definitely do that against Mississippi State here. I typically love playing him in tournaments. I'll have a little bit of exposure to Walter Clayton. Will Richard, loved him at the beginning of the year when he was mid 6K and nobody would play him. Helped me win some coin early in the year. Now he's 7,300. Some of that upside is taken out, but it's returned now with Martin out, right? Because you're going to have, obviously a little bit more usage going over to Will Richard. So I definitely think he's interesting for tournaments. Denzel Aberdeen, though, at 4,200 with it's just going to be tough not to click him. You get 90%. I mean, it's going to be high. Cam, was it Klavzar? A dart? Yeah, I'm not going to take any shots on that. There's too many other plays, especially all these guys in like the mid to high 4K range that have some juice to them too. I'm unfortunately probably going to be close to 100% Aberdeen. And this is also on the road here. So it's like, what could go wrong? I mean, yeah, it could go wrong, but I mean, it doesn't make it mean it's the right play to make at 4,200. I mean, you're probably going to get 4x from this guy. That's going to allow you to go up and get studs. So if your studs go for 5x, you're fine. If he goes for 5x himself and puts up 20 fantasy points, you love it. If he gets you 10, 9, then you're really hurting. But he's going to have a large ownership, so probably won't win the big one. But if you're playing like smaller single entries or like high stakes, smaller fields, absolutely here. So love these Florida guys. Obviously almost an 80 implied total on Ken Palm here. Thomas Hoff, is popping hard over there on RPS. I'm a fan of this guy. I played him the other, 2 slates ago. I think he put up like 28 fantasy points or something like that. Obviously coming off a big game against Auburn. Now you're getting him priced up to like 6K. He's playing highest 20s minutes, obviously. If you want to play some Houf with some of these other guys, I mean, you can play 3 Florida guys, honestly, on this side. This is an interesting stacking game for sure. So a Houf shout out there from RPS member Steve there. Darren saying no wrong picks over here on the Gators side. Yeah, Aberdeen hits a few threes, you're cooking. So no Condon for me. There's some Clayton exposure in tournaments. Don't think I'm going to get on Richard. Some Aberdeen, obviously, in tournaments. Play some Houf if you think he continues his crazy run right now. Flipping over to the Mississippi State side. This is obviously a pace up here, but Florida is 9th in defensive efficiency. You got Josh Hubbard, Cam Matthews, Claudell Harris. Like Josh Hubbard is almost 8K. That's when it starts getting a little dicey for me because he does have some assist upside, but he's very much shot dependent. He has to hit a lot of threes. I don't think that I'm going to really get to him at 7,800. Cam Matthews sitting here at 7,100. He's always intriguing for tournaments, but I mean, he could take 2 or 3 shots and you're pretty much cooked. You need him to take, 8 to 10 field goals. You need those stocks to be there for him. So it's not an exciting matchup wise for these Mississippi State guys, especially with the price tags on them. I do find Claudell Harris pretty interesting. It's a pretty cheap tag for him at 4,600. So, he's another guy though that's super shot dependent, but I would much rather be worried about shot dependency from a guy that's 4,600 than 7,800 like a Josh Hubbard. But I do think Hubbard would be an interesting run back if Mississippi State obviously gets, this thing comes down to the wire or whatever, and he has a big game. Claudell Harris sitting here at 4,600, definitely a cheap price tag for him. So let me know in the chat what you guys think about the Mississippi State side, because if you're playing 2 or 3 guys on the Florida side, a tournament, there's probably going to be a guy at the 74 implied total that gets you to 4 or 4.5 type X. And who's that bring back for you guys? I think Claudell Harris is pretty interesting in that perspective. Homeless Hubbard, too expensive now. Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, man. We're cruising through this thing. Going a little bit longer than we wanted to, but hey, all good here. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button so that way you can chat with all the breadheads that are out there. This next game is actually a pretty quick one to go through here. Auburn -11 at Vanderbilt, 163 implied total. That's a big total, 87 for Auburn. Obviously, we know Vandy doesn't like to play any defense. They're also 49th in tempo. They're giving up a ridiculous 41% from three. Janai Broom is on the slate. He's 11K. I will be playing Janai Broom. It's to the point now where it's just so hard to fade him unless it's like a really tough matchup, like a Tennessee or something. So yeah, Janai Broom 11K. We're gonna have the coin to to get to him. So I'm playing Janai Broom. Let me know in the chat if you're playing Janai Broom or Braden Smith, or if you're trying to jam both of these guys in, because that's kind of what it seems like right now. Who's the second or third stud that you're going to play as well? As Chad Baker Mazara is pretty interesting for tournaments. He'll pop off for 30 plus fantasy points every now and then. Price tag is about where it's been most of the season, 6,900. If you can figure out who from Auburn goes with Broom on a nightly basis, you're probably making a lot of money. Because typically somebody goes with him as far as fantasy points. I just don't ever know if it's going to be CBM, it's going to be Miles Kelly, it's going to be Chaney Johnson, is it going to be Pettiford, Denver Jones going to make like 3 threes? I don't know. So if you guys have the almanac on that, let me know. And then on this Vanderbilt side, I mean, this is just ugly. 32nd in bench minutes. I don't know who's going to score any fantasy points for Vanderbilt. Like it just gets annoying when you try to figure out like who's going to do what for them. They've been on the last few main slates on Saturdays too, which have been super annoying. So if you guys have a pick, I mean, I think they should be playing Devin McLaughlin like 32, 35 minutes a game. His rates are pretty outstanding, but I can't get to him here. So yeah, pretty much some Broom if you want to pair him with another guy from Auburn, and then yeah, that's pretty much it from this game for me. As Darren says, Broom is just who to stack with him. Absolutely. Jeremy saying Mazzara popping hard on RPS. Let's see. What's Gall saying? Jay Edwards explosion tonight. Yeah, Edwards can score 22 real life points, and he'll score 23.5 fantasy points because he won't do anything else. So, ban Vanderbilt. Steve saying ban Vanderbilt from slates, please. And Sparty, unless it's 4,600 Jace Richardson. Yes, but outside of that, fade both of those teams all the time. Essentially, it's a good rule to live by in DFS land. Darren says, "Love me some Jason Edwards." Oh yes, Darren, you have the Mean Green connection. All right, let's flip it over here. UCLA +5 at Illinois. This is another game that I don't have a lot of interest in. This UCLA side implied for 71. Eric Daly and Tyler Bilodeau, maybe. Like I don't think I can get to anybody on this UCLA side. Tough road environment for them. They should get their looks. Like Illinois just doesn't turn you over. They're paced up, which you love. So maybe a Daly or a Bilodeau for me, and that's pretty much it on that side. I mean, you look at you just look at like all the guys that UCLA plays, and it gets a little tough to figure out who's going to do what on a nightly basis. But Bilodeau's got a pretty secure role, so at 6,400, I don't mind it. He's kind of in no man's land for the slate for me, though. Illinois implied for 76. I mean, UCLA 8th in defensive efficiency. UCLA will turn you over. They're number 1 in the country. Man, the two guys that have been killing me over the last 2 weeks have been Yakashonis and Curtis Jones. And here he is. Yakashonis sitting. There's no reason why he should be able to go 5x here. But I feel like because I've been jamming him in, that this is probably the random slate against a really good defense where he's going to have a really good game. So that's just maybe my mind talking about my pot commitment to him. I'm probably not going to get to him. He's going to be a contrarian tourney type spend. Ivicic here at 8,200, like just a tough matchup for him. Guild, I don't know. I'm not in love with anything. We just talked about some really good game environments. This is one where it's like, it's okay. Just too many plays here. Scott's jumping in with a question here. Scott, where you at, Scott? Mac playable. I mean, yeah, you just with the value that we have with the Gochukwu, with Denzel Aberdeen, with a plethora of guys in these high four. We haven't even gotten to Arizona yet, which we need to. So yeah, Scott, I don't think we need to do it, man. Stars and Scrubs are going to be plentiful on this one. Sky Clark revenge game for Spit King. Yeah, I mean, if you want to play the narrative, go for it. I'll be playing a lot in these next couple of games, or at least this next game for sure. Arizona -5 at K-State, 151 implied total. Arizona's implied for 78 and 47th in tempo. K-State 193rd in tempo. K-State giving up 36% from 3 in Big 12 play. Also, K-State not a very good rebounding team. And guess what? we got some guys on Arizona that can absolutely cook in the DFS streets. One guy is Caleb Love, and look, I always find him interesting for tournaments. I'm not saying I'm clicking his name tonight, but anytime Caleb Love starts getting to the 9K range, like people start running. Even when he's 8K, people run for the hills. But when he gets to this price tag, people really start to run for the hills. I just find him kind of interesting. I don't think I'm clicking his name. Bradley and Lewis, probably max price. I don't think I'm interested in either one of Bradley. Like Bradley's interesting for like cash and double ups in this environment. KJ Lewis, I'm not paying 7,200 for a max price KJ Lewis. I'm more interested in Henry Vasar here. This dude's been absolutely crushing lately. He's 6,400. Townsend, I don't know, got the concussion. I assume he's probably out until we see news that he's going to play. So yeah, that puts Awaka, Besar, Bryant, like these forwards are in a absolute like nuke type spot here with the rebounding upside they have, with their shot blocking ability. Witzkall saying, "Give me all the forwards in this game." Yeah, I mean, this is a great spot. As long as even if Townsend is in, I feel like one of them's still going to go off. With Townsend out, like two of these guys are probably going to go off. So, love me some Vasar. Going to have a lot of him in tournaments. I need to make sure I get my pivots to Waka here at 61 because he could put up 30 fantasy points as well. The problem with these guys is they do have low floors. Now, they are great fantasy. They got to be on the floor, though. So, could you play both together? Maybe. It seems a little risky, obviously. They both went for 34 each in the last game. Vasar and Awaka, they both went for 31 and 29 each the game before that. So, yeah, could they get there together? But I don't know. I kind of want to pay for the guy that I feel has the most ceiling, and that's Vasar. I'll probably go 75-25 on that aspect. And then Carter Bryant's just really interesting. At 5,400, he's at like this weird price tag where you have we have the guys we're talking about in Aberdeen, Nogochukwu, and then you have these guys in like the high 4K range that we've been talking about. And he's sitting here at 5,400. And he's had a couple of huge outings where it's like, dude, this guy looks like the best player on the floor. Obviously has an NBA ceiling, but he's not cheap anymore. So I don't know that if you're building stars and scrubs, like you can't forget to kind of get this guy in there. Because I think a lot of people are going to play 2 to 3 value pieces, pay up for a Broomer Smith, go get another stud, and kind of ignore like this 5 to 6,500 type range. I think, they'll play Vasar or Walker, and it's like, okay, I don't really have, that much exposure to Carter Bryant. So I feel he's pretty interesting for tournaments for sure. Steve, if Carter Bryant can make it one media timeout without fouling, yeah, that always helps. Obviously, man, you guys are jumping in here. Is Reuben Jones? Yeah, Reuben Jones is value if he starts. I don't know that. I like Reuben value more for like double ups and stuff, man. Like you got all these like really nice value plays that I don't know. He's just not my favorite. He's more of a secondary value piece. Belly ball asking Awaka or Bryant. I mean, if I had to rank them in order, it's probably Vasar, then Awaka, then Bryant, which makes Bryant really interesting for tournaments here. K-State, Doug the Tug, and Hawkins. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is on this K-State side. You got Coleman Hawkins max price at 9,500. I've been playing fantastic. I had him the other day when he was like 8,500, went for 40 something. So that was a nice night for me. But contrarian tourney type spin because you got all these guys in this 9K range, and then you have to think about Broom and paying up for Broom and Smith as well. So if you're playing two guys over here on the Arizona side, I think running it back with one of these two, Hawkins or McDaniel, is pretty interesting. Doug McDaniel at 7K, like finally he's playing a lot of minutes. So yeah, he's going to produce when he plays a ton of minutes. So, 36, 38, 34, taking a ton of shots, 15, 10, 17, assist upsides there. Now the problem with Doug McDaniel is that he's going to get the defense of Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis. So that is probably not the best matchup for him. But if you want to run it back with him, I guess I'm probably going to be using Arizona 2-0 on this side on a lot of my lineups. And let's check out the chat before we get to this last game and get you guys out of here. Let's see. Can I stack Nick Anderson? Nick Anderson, Kenny Badland, Kendall Gill from Illinois. I think that's a winner. Can you send me a 1v1? That's hilarious. You guys are great in the chat. Man, chat's been live. All right. We're trying to get out of here at 5:20 Central, but didn't quite make it because you guys are blowing up this chat, which we absolutely love. We'll go a little bit longer. That's fine. Last game here before we get to some cores. DePaul plus 17 at Marquette, 145 implied total. First matchup, Marquette won in overtime on the road. I was actually watching this game, 85-83. This was the Joplin game, 30 points, 4 boards. Cam Jones was awesome, 18, 6, and 11. It's a CJ Gunn show. He had 21 points. Rivera had I think he came off if I remember correctly, he came off the bench randomly and scored 20 points in this one. So it was a weird game. Now you look at it, they're at Marquette. DePaul's implied total is 64. Enright's out for the year. The backcourt rotation, right? It's a little more clear. It's Layden Blocker at 7K. I find Layden Blocker is just like an interesting tournament play. I'm not saying go click his name because everyone's going to run to the Rivera and Thomas plays, absolutely. Which means I find Layden Blocker kind of interesting. I don't know that I'll click him, but yeah, he's going to go completely unowned. If this game somehow stays tight, he's probably going to have a say in that. But obviously where people are going to be putting their money, where I'm going to be putting most of my money is towards Isaiah Rivera and David Thomas. So Rivera sitting here at 5K. We saw what he did against these guys last game. The minutes are way up with Enright out. He's gonna have to log a ton of minutes as we go forward here. So if he's gonna play 35 minutes, he shot 2 for 11 last game and scored 20 fantasy points. So what happens when he takes a ton of threes too? So what happens when he hits a bunch of threes? You're gonna want to play you some Isaiah Rivera for sure. That 5K price tag, it's right there on the sweet spot. And then you look at David Thomas sitting here at 3,500, played 26 minutes last game, 22.5 fantasy points. He's had some random games. His rates aren't great. He hasn't been on the floor a lot. He has these random games where he goes off. So shot 6 of 13 from the field. We don't really see any assist or rebound. We don't know, right? He's got a 15% assist rate on the year. So David Thomas definitely an interesting value type play, and it could be full stars. You guys can play 3 or 4 studs with 3 to 4 value plays. So I just find kind of that mid tier super, super interesting in tournaments. Not saying you play all mid price guys, but if you work one of them in there, you get a bust or two from one of the top guys and one of the bottom, one of the value plays, and then you're kind of cooking there. But that's super contrarian. I'll be playing some Rivera and Thomas on this one. On the Marquette side, 81 implied total. That's a big total. I think I'm mostly interested in Cam Jones for cash. This blowout is kind of scary for me. I think you can play him in a tournament. I think you need to play 3 guys on the DePaul side if you think this game stays close. And then you're probably going to want to play a 3-2 or something if you think this game stays close. So I don't see it being close. I think Cam Jones is interesting for just cash and double ups at 9,100. He's safe floor. Chase Ross, David Joplin, spin the wheel on who you think who's gonna have the big game. It was obviously Joplin last time, but Chase Ross is live to get 4 or 5 steals and some easy buckets here and put up a 30-35 spot. So Ben Gold's down here at 3,800. I can't do it. Parham's getting some of his minutes here. So Ben Gold at 3,800. If you want to play, Stevie Mitchell or Ross or Joplin in this matchup, I don't mind it at all. Because Marquette's going to do their thing. They're going to score fantasy points. You just know Cam Jones is going to do a lot of it. And if you want to take a shot at Ross or Joplin getting there as well, you could definitely do that for sure. Cool. All right. We'll get to these cores real quick in the next couple of minutes, and then get you guys out of here. I got to make a few more lineups, and hopefully somebody's winning this 2K tonight. All right. So for a core 4, and this is for cash type, we actually just talked about one of these guys. But I think it's really going to start with a Matthew Cleveland from Miami. His role is just so safe and secure, or playing a Cam Jones from Marquette in this big total, where he's going to be able to do his thing. He's live for a 20 and 10 type night. So I think getting one of those 2 guys in there, like a Cleveland. Isaiah Rivera, he's just going to play too many minutes, take a bunch of shots. He's live for cash or tourneys. I just think he's got a really safe floor if you're playing double ups tonight. Divine Gochugwu, I think at 4,500. Giving you guys those value guys that we've been talking about all night, playing high 20s minutes in a game that's going to score a ton of points. There's not going to be a lot of defense played this game. And Denzel Aberdeen at 4,200, another solid value type play, and that's obviously going to leave you with nearly 7K per player. So You play like a David Thomas, and then you can go get you like 3 studs or whatever. So that's kind of the theme of the night, honestly. So that's some of the guys you're looking at in cash, and a couple of these guys you're gonna see over here in tournaments. We're gonna slide Gochukwu, we're gonna slide Aberdeen over to tournaments as well. I just think if you're playing a tournament, I don't know how you win tonight without Janai Broom or Braden Smith, because if somehow Broom busts, which I don't think he's going to, it's going to be hard for both of these guys to bust. I know they're damn near, well, Braden Smith's 10-8. They're both 11K essentially. One of these guys is going off. Their spots are just too good here. They have the highest ceilings on the board. So playing one of these two guys definitely in a tournament. And then playing Besar or Awaka Bryant as a core type piece in a tournament, going to be huge for me. Gochukwu, Aberdeen. These are the guys that get you up to, play Rivera on this side too, or David Thomas. You just got a ton of coin to go up and get a bunch of people that you want. So, that'll pretty much break everything down. Appreciate everybody joining tonight. Remember, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I think we gained 4 or 5 subs. We appreciate that. Appreciate everybody in the comments. 1330. There we go. Gained 5 subs today. So appreciate that. This is the best 6-7 weeks for our channel. And you'll catch us doing DFS. You'll catch us doing all kinds of stuff, tournament, bracket breakdowns. Remember to check out BracketBids.com if you're filling out a bracket. If you put in the promo code BREAD, as you see on the scroll down there at the bottom, you get 40% off your activation fees. And hey, why don't we at least one of us in the chat tonight? I'll do it if I have to, but why don't we go out and get this bread?
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.